Welcome to Machine Minds, where technology and humanity meet. I'm your host, Greg Tarusian, founder of Samson Rose, a recruiting and search business focused on the robotics and AI industries. The Machine Minds show is where we dive deep into the intricate world of robotics and artificial intelligence. As a staffing industry leader with a passion for the frontiers of technology, I'm pleased to be bringing you intimate conversations with the founders, investors, and trailblazers who are at the heart of the AI and robotics revolution. In each episode, we dig into their journeys, the applications of the products they're working on, and the breakthroughs that are shaping our future. Join us as we explore how these machine minds are transforming the way we live, work, and understand our world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a tech enthusiast, or just curious about this amazing field, you'll learn something new with each episode. Let's delve into the extraordinary. Let's delve into machine minds. Hello and welcome to Machine Minds. I'm your host, Greg Tarusian, founder of Samson Rose, your robotics talent search partner. And on today's episode, I'm joined by Reza Rassool, Chair and CEO of Kwaai, a non-profit developer community that are working on democratizing AI. This is going to be an interesting one. Thanks for being on the show today, Reza.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for we finally made it. Thanks for having me on your program. How's it going with you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. A few reschedules and some scheduling issues, but I'm glad we're here. I'm glad. Let's jump into it. So I want to start back on your early career and your background. So you've had a fascinating career path leading up to this current focus. But can you share with the audience, your journey, how that began, and what initially drew you into the technology industry?
Well, Greg, okay, if we're going to go back to when the Earth's crust was cooling, I was born in Cape Town in South Africa, and that maybe has a common theme there with you.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, in fact, the reason I bring that up is that I don't think anyone that grew up in that environment didn't grow up informed by the experience of apartheid. And I always bring this up because it's such an important theme of what I'm doing now. But you can't divorce your career from a worldview. And the worldview is something that you acquire through experiences. So I was born in Cape Town in South Africa at the height of apartheid. We left. Dad's colleagues were being placed under house arrest. Dad was a member of an organization that was banned by the apartheid regime. And so he left and he got a job in the East End of London as a school teacher. My mom brought me and my two sisters over the following year and grew up in London, East End of London, but then went to college at King's College and studied physics. But the career developed around computer science and specifically in the area of graphics and video and audio, digital signal processing. In the 90s, I fell in with a group of developers who were building a system to allow you to edit a movie on a computer. Actually, behind me is the edit controller of that product. It was called Lightworks. It was one of the first systems that allowed you to edit a movie on a computer, recording the video to a disk drive as files. That sort of thing wasn't done before. Prior to that, movies would be created by splicing film together. It was a heavily chemical process for then going through and creating the final display print. Or the content would be recorded onto multiple videotapes and you'd have a multiple machine edit going. It was a painstaking process to edit content. And then along came what was then called non-linear editing, a way of editing movies on computers. And we produced one of the first systems in that new sector of technology. And so the Lightworks editor is actually still running today. high-end movie makers still cut films on Lightworks, Martin Scorsese being the most notable of them. And so this product actually won a technical Oscar and technical Emmy Award. And it's actually created movies that themselves have become Oscar-winning movies. And I dined out on that success. On the strength of that one startup, moved my family to Hollywood, to Los Angeles, where I'm calling from you now, and built a career around digital signal processing. Landed a job at a company called Micropolis. It's known as one of the inventors of the SCSI disk drive format, arguably the inventor of RAID. And they were one of the first companies to see that, hey, people are going to want to record video onto disk drive. So they created a video systems division, and I became the chief engineer. So then I had a string of, then I dabbled in the biomedical space and biomedical devices. That sort of digital signal processing of audio and video was applied to cochlear implants and a bionic eye project for the biomedical companies Advanced Bionics and Second Sight. Then I joined a startup called Widevine Technologies that was in the business of encrypting video. So it's more processing on video, encrypting video. In fact, today, 40% of the over-the-top television, the television that you stream, is encrypted by this Widevine technology. The company was acquired by Google, so I had some startup success there, and then went to join a music gaming startup that was also acquired by Google. So now I'm feeling like I'm the hottest product in town, and I thought, hey, I can do this. So I set up a venture studio that pursued the practice of CTO as a service. We'd place a CTO into a startup, bring along a technical team, and now because I knew my way around the venture capital landscape, I brought funding along as well.
Yeah.
But I had no fund of my own. I was basically betting the farm on each venture. That works really well until it doesn't. And then a recruiter said, hey, Real Networks is looking for a chief technology officer. So I joined this iconic brand, Real Networks, the company that invented streaming media, this thing we're doing here instead of commuting to an office. And the 7 years at Real Networks, I helped pivot them from streaming media to AI, and retired on the strength of the success of that pivot. And so when I retired, I thought, what am I going to do now? I'm going to form a nonprofit. It's called Kwaai, with the mission to democratize AI. I felt that would be easier than learning how to play golf. And, the
it's
AI...
harder later in life, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they call me the ditch digger when I do play golf. They say, Reza, you're just trying too hard.
I don't even try.
Apparently deals are made. Apparently there's some other meta game going on.
Yeah.
It's not just knocking a ball with a stick.
I hear.
And I never got into it. What the thing that gave me some anxiety when I left Real Networks was these two AI divisions that I helped build at Real Networks were part of an industry, the AI industry, which was now being super hyped up by generative AI. I had this feeling that AI was heading off in a dangerous direction, as did many other people. But I thought it's important to not just wring your hands about it and wag your finger and so on and write passive blog posts. It's important to do something about it. and this is informed by our, history of activism. Don't moan, organize. And so
Yeah.
I started to organize and use all the tools that, my dad taught me, and from our experience of fighting against a regime that we disagreed with. How do you counteract the monopolization that is going on within the industry? So I want to talk to you more about Kwaai and its mission, and what we're doing.
Yeah, I would love that. And just a little tidbit, maybe TMI for listeners, but there's so many overlaps between Reza and I's background. So my mum's from South Africa originally, and I was born and raised in London. So he did the South Africa to London thing. We actually lived around the corner from each other, which I didn't know until our initial conversation. I was in Northwest London, which I know you lived in later on. And then moved to California, which obviously I did as well. But my mum went to King's and did her master's there too. So that's something else that we didn't speak about last time. But yeah, so many.
As did my mum. My mum did her master's at King's as well.
That's so funny. Yeah, we'll talk about that offline for sure.
Yes.
So yeah, your transition into Kwaai, obviously retired, going into a nonprofit, hugely impactful mission. So I really want to talk about some of that, how that transition was for you, how you went about starting this nonprofit. What was this gap and need that you really saw that you wanted to address?
So let's dwell on the word Kwaai.
Yes, please.
Kwaai actually comes from the tip of Africa. It's one of those words like the word Ubuntu and Indaba and those words that have sort of seeped into the vocabulary of other languages. Kwaai means cool. Well, that's the kind of hip hop connotation. Its literal meaning is angry or wild. It's spelled Kwaai, so you can see sort of a Dutch derivation. The language that's spoken in South Africa is like ancient Dutch or a Middle Dutch that was frozen in a time capsule. It's got a mix of Malay vocabulary and English, and so it's an odd language. If you go and speak Afrikaans, which is the language, if you go and speak that language in Holland, they'll think you're a farmer or you are this is odd in some way. Language is important. Now, the reason I dwell on it, because we're in an era of AI is gained its acceleration by solving the problem of language, large language models. And in fact, Yuval Harari says that AI has now hacked the operating system of humanity. Oh, mind blows. What does he mean by that? Well, the operating system of humanity, the way we operate is through language. The way we communicate with each other is through language. It's interesting that the lessons that I learned from working through the video industry, especially at Real Networks, was seeing all sorts of things in the form of a codec. Codecs are what we build, video codecs. There's a video codec operating here, which is taking reality as it exists over here, seen through my video camera, compressing it into a data stream, and then transmitting it so that it gets decompressed and hopefully with great fidelity reproduces what my camera saw. Language plays the same role, and language is the codec of telepathy. Mind blown again. Okay, what does that mean? It's a way of getting a thought that's in my head into your head. And if the out of Africa hypothesis is correct, that we evolved in Africa, and we evolved as humans around language. And in fact, it's probably our ability to master language, to utter it and to receive it, actually gave us that advantage. And so the actual biology of humans was, gosh, it probably formed in order to perpetuate language and do language better. So Yuval Harari is correct. AI has hacked the OS of humanity. Now he goes on further to say, okay, this is a very, very pessimistic. He has a very sort of dystopian view of where this leads us. I don't think that's necessarily the case. There's a spectrum of opinion from the doomer sort of clickbaity prophets of doom that AI is going to destroy humanity. And at the other end of the extreme are the cheerleaders of AI saying, don't worry, it's going to raise all boats, it's going to be fine. And I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think that necessarily it'll be one or the other. On its current course, it's looking like it's heading more towards the Yuval Harari case, but it's not a fault of AI itself. It is a fault of us. It is the fault of the systems by which we run our society, our industry, and our economy. We've allowed a half a dozen corporations to control the economy. This is very bad. No matter what the economy is based on, whether it's based on electricity, whether it's based on steam power, whether it's based on petrochemicals, when you have monopolization at the state that it is now, you start thinking about times when this occurred in the past. A century ago, when a half a dozen corporations dominated the US economy in the 1920s, everyone thought, wow, this is fantastic, until it wasn't. And when it crashes pretty horribly. So, look, I think AI is just another tool in the tool belt of capitalism to further concentrate wealth. And so you can see who the main players are in the AI industry. A half a dozen of them, no more.
Yeah.
These are the ones with the deep enough pockets to actually create large language models, base models from scratch. So I thought, okay, what we need is an altruistic intervention, very similar to the intervention that was mounted by Linux when the server operating system was dominated by a half a dozen corporations. Along came Linux, open source, non-profit, volunteer movement, and now Linux is the dominant operating system, and the industry is healthier for it. And so I thought, okay, that's my example. It's been done before. Let's form a movement. So you asked, what were the stepping stones to creating this? Well, we started a weekly public meeting. So we still hold that now. We've just gone through 50 odd. I think we're up to 54 weekly public meetings. Our movement is just over a year old. And we use the weekly public meeting to debate the issue. But midweek, there are working groups progressing. The movement, some metrics on the movement. The movement is now just under 600 members strong. This includes developers, researchers, and people that are making policy. About 80% of our activity is spent on code development and the rest on research and policy. So it's a movement, and we're doing stuff. I'd love to tell you more about what it is we're building, and how we hope to democratize AI.
Please, yeah, I would love to know about that. How people are involved, the time that they put into it, because I mean those are big numbers. 54 weekly meetings, over 600 volunteers, and people are active. It obviously shows a need. People have a belief. You obviously communicate it well. So yeah, talk to me more about what you do. Like, the floor is yours. I want to just share this with everyone.
Fantastic. So the mission, it's important to be focused about a mission. A mission is a what, a when, and a how much. Let's think of some iconic missions. The Star Trek mission, for instance. I was so influenced by Star Trek. To boldly go. Well, the tagline was "to boldly go where no man's gone." If that was a tagline, it was actually a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where they should have said person has gone before. That didn't age well. But there were other mission statements, like John F. Kennedy's mission statement about "we choose to go to the moon, and we'll do it in this decade." And did he say how much he's going to spend on it? Well, it wasn't quite all the treasure of the US, but a considerable chunk, the entire budget of NASA. So it's a what, a when, and a how much. So when we articulate missions, and it's always very important when I've been at the birthing of a startup to articulate a mission very clearly. The mission for Kwaai, to democratize AI, sounds just too fuzzy and ethereal. What we want to do is we want to build personal AI. We want to empower everyone with AI technology that they can own and operate. So when you, Greg, can have a personal assistant that is yours to own and operate, and it's free to you, if you host it yourself. If you want some other service to host it, then obviously you're going to be paying them. But giving you the same tool set that the large AI corporations have is a what we want to produce. So we're building a personal AI operating system. It's the reason we call it an operating system is because it's an operating system in the same way that I guess Amazon's Alexa is an operating system. It's a framework upon which you can have extended functionality. So in Alexa parlance, that extended functionality is called skills. In the parlance of Kwaai, our personal AI operating system allows you to add abilities to it. So you'll start off with a personal AI operating system that can speak and can listen and can do a few basic things. So those are innate abilities. And then there'll be an app store where you can add extensions to it that third parties will have developed, much like you can install apps beyond that which Apple gave you on your iPhone. Okay, so that is a vision of personal AI. We feel that if AI is going to be truly uplifting for humanity, let's start with the problems of humans first. Let's apply it to your everyday domestic problems. And then that'll be your superpower. That'll give you a 10x improvement. It'll make you more efficient in managing your communications, managing your finances, your healthcare, all of the interactions with online systems. It'll make you a better you. The knock-on effect is it'll make you a better worker, better employee, a better consumer, a more engaged citizen. And that will trickle up to corporations. I believe that in that flow of wealth, rather than the trickle down, it'll never trickle down, it never has. And so this notion that if you enrich the half a dozen already wealthy corporations further, that somehow the wealth will trickle down to the rest of us, no, that is a myth that we've been sold over and over again, and it's a failed myth. Okay, so Kwaai is doing something very different to what corporate AI is doing. We're not building AI to improve the profitability of corporations. We are building AI to uplift individuals. Gosh, I can rant on about this a lot longer.
No, I love this. Yeah, no, I love this because I think people, we were talking about my mum offline as well,
Yeah.
because at her age and her community, they're trying to be more aware of technology, AI, the advancements, and that generation are also the ones that are like susceptible to fraud and things like that. So having tools like this, awareness like this, and guidance in these sort of things, I think is important. But then on a personal level, from like my generation and below, who are probably a lot more tech savvy, a lot more, all of us are probably using AI in some capacity. I want to think about like, well, what does that mean for me? Because me having access to chat GPT is great, fine. It will help me to do some things easier and quicker. And obviously I'm in the industry, so I see every day a new tool or something coming out. It's just overwhelming, but you just don't know what that means for you and how that's going to help your life. And then how can it give you the superpowers, empower you, and bring you up to a different level? Because that is, from my perspective anyway, very overwhelming. If you just Google whatever tool it is that you want, there's so many lists, and a lot of it is fluff. A lot of it isn't. They're not real companies. They'll take a payment and it's just crap what you get at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because it's money grabbing, right? People are following this AI hype curve, like they've done with everything else, with crypto,
Right.
with whatever else it is. So it's good to know that there's something like this out there, and I'm sure there isn't anyone else working on something like this. But also, I want to get to the root of what it means to people and how they would do it, like the general public, how they would create their own AI.
Yeah. So look, if we think about what is personal AI and what is maybe personnel AI, and one of our officers at Kwaai, his name's Doc Searles, is a leading light in the area of trust and of the internet and so on. He was the Linux editor of the Linux Journal. He writes a blog post about what's the difference between personal and personalized AI. A personal AI, a personal assistant that you own and operate that is representing your interests would have access to your most sensitive data, your most sensitive information, your finances, your healthcare, your incoming communications, all sorts of data that you don't want to send up to a SaaS service as a prompt, or
Right.
here's my entire context uploaded for them to monetize you better. That's the best outcome, is that if their intention is to monetize you. But this trend of SaaS services to harvest in all of available, accessible public data, public and private data, and hoard it in their silos is a real problem for the internet. It creates hacker honeypots where the hacker just needs to hack it once and they've got access to millions of customer records. We're trying to we're trying to show corporations that there's another way of doing this. Personal AI means you keep your data local. So that means if your data is local, the AI processing has to be local as well.
Yeah.
So now you're not sending your data up to a big data center to be crunched on and to get an answer back. Instead, the processing's coming down to you where your data is. Your data remains private. So you think, well, I don't have the compute power to run a massive, billion parameter, multi-billion parameter, trillion parameter large language model. Turns out you don't need it. Turns out that a small language model would do just fine. So what we've learned is that the industry is in that sort of bloatware phase of it's in the hardware terms, it's in a mainframe era, before personal computers, when computing was done in mainframes. And the notion of a personal computer was as crazy as like a personal nuclear reactor. Nobody could envisage personal computing until the 80s, when the IBM PC hit the market. So personal AI turns out to be achievable if you don't focus on a large language model. You instead focus on a small language model. So we break apart the language model from the knowledge base. What ChatGPT is, it's an unnecessary conflation of the two. It's got linguistic capability, that's the ability to understand my language, and it's got general knowledge. Frankly, I don't care about the general knowledge. How did they acquire that general knowledge? They went and vacuumed up Reddit and TikTok and Twitter. Right. So that knowledge includes factual statements and counterfactual statements. They all might be linguistically correct, some linguistically questionable, but they are forms of language. But in terms of general knowledge, it's really a bunch of garbage that's very prone to hallucination. So the technical job of breaking apart the language model from the knowledge base is important. And so the knowledge base, instead, we allow you to curate your knowledge base. And it's your knowledge. It's your financial records, it's your healthcare records, it's your communications, it's your all of the data streams that represent your personal knowledge. You keep it secure. It gets put into what's called a vector database. And the type of AI is called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And that's the bit that we are focusing our energies on. How can we make RAG better? So RAG is a way of turning your local knowledge into a semantic form, the meaning of the knowledge. And the process is done by vectorizing. And look, we can go into the whole technicality of it, but the result is that you can keep your data local. The processing requirement is a lot less than running GPT 4.0 on your own computer. You'd never be able to do that. And it means that you can use a small language model that can run locally, and the language model is just used for its linguistic capability. The knowledge is yours. Okay, so that's
amazing.
That's how we're building it, and we believe that ultimately your personal AI is going to run locally, either on your own computer or on a meshed fabric of digital public infrastructure, which is the end destination of where we want to take this.
Amazing. Yeah, I could just think of like my own benefits. You've got like this RAG-based model. I could upload all of, my emails, my podcasts, my logins, all of that stuff. And I could just speak to my assistant and be like, hey, help me book this trip for me, if it has your banking info or whatever. Yeah, that's wild.
And in fact, the FAQ bot that you can find on the Kwaai website. So if you go to kwaai.ai, the FAQ, the frequently asked questions bot, is informed by some founding documents, a scraping of our website, and the transcripts of our weekly public meetings. So now you can go in there and ask them, what is the mission of Kwaai, or how can I join up, or what work groups are active in Kwaai, and it will give you back an answer. So that was the proof of concept. We actually got that developed in Q1 of this year, and we showed it off at the SoCal Linux Expo, the Scale conference. The next technical milestone we're heading for is the beta, and the beta, we're going to run a closed beta in academia. So that's 30 universities across the US. Well, we've already got 20 signed up. And so that development is going on at the moment. And by the end of the month, we're going to be releasing that beta. So you can go to the Kwaai website, go to the beta page, sign up if you want to bring cutting edge AI to your campus.
That's so cool. Okay, yeah, we're going to link all of this in the show notes. And I encourage people to check out the website. Very cool video with you talking about Kwaai on top of Table Mountain, which is great as well, just for viewing purposes, if people haven't been to South Africa. So it's cool to see. let's talk about the industry, the wider impact, because this obviously it's early days, right? You guys have been around for just over a year, already getting great traction, speaking at the right conferences, universities signing up. If we jump forward a little bit, what role do you see Kwaai playing in the broader context of the AI industries and sectors?
Right. Well, I always want to be a needle in the side of the status quo. I think that's a position I've had since childhood, and so yes, Kwaai is a non-profit. It's we want to advocate for a better way of doing AI, where AI can be truly uplifting for humanity. But we also want to show by doing. So we want to lead by example. The impact on the industry. You know, if I then start envisioning what the end state would be and looking back and seeing what would success look like. Well, success would look like that we will have enabled personal AI. We would have enabled everyone to own and operate their own AI. But I think I want to also show the industry that this addiction that it has to hoarding customer data is something we can wean them off, show them a better way of doing things. Currently, there is a $1 trillion industry around customer data. So that the language of that industry is very similar to the extractive industries. They talk about data mining. They talk about pipes. They talk about silos, data lakes. They talk about refining
Never
data.
thought about it like that. Yeah.
All of those languages, the extractive industry. In fact, the cover of The Economist magazine said, data is the new oil.
I can see that.
And they also talk about data leaks. Okay, data is the new oil. So this notion that vendors can accumulate customer data in order to build models so they can predict what your mum is going to want to buy next month, so they can then target their billion-dollar ad budgets to bombard her with commercials for things they think she's going to want to buy based on the data they've harvested from her. So Doc Searls says this is based on a false model of you. These models are typically inaccurate and they're out of date. That's why you'll continue getting those ads for stuff you've bought already. Yeah, I flew to Cape Town at Christmas. Don't keep sending me commercials, ads for flights to Cape Town, because I've done that trip. It was like a once in a lifetime trip. I don't want to be told every week, hey, here's some cheap tickets. Or that I know that wine cooler that I was looking for a month ago, I purchased it. Yeah. Stop sending me more. So these things are typically inaccurate and they're out of date. Why don't they just ask me what I want? Yeah. Why don't they, Greg? Why don't the vendors just ask you, Greg, what's on your shopping list this month? Well, they can't because, Greg, you're a human.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you're a human and they're machines. But when you have your own personal AI that is a machine, it'll talk to it in a machine-to-machine interface. And all of this stuff is part of the protocols that we're working on. So IEEE has standardized one of these protocols, the P7012 protocol, which is the way in which your personal AI can talk to vendors. And you're now the first party and they're the third party. You're the first party because you set the terms and conditions. And they have to accept your terms and conditions, rather than what happens now is when you go to a website, you have to go and authenticate yourself because otherwise you're anonymous. They seem to be a trusted entity from scratch. So there's an asymmetry already, and they set terms and conditions that you have to accept. No. If you want my business, you accept my terms and conditions. Yeah, you don't follow me out of the store. and try and track me and which other stores I'm going to, and don't go sell my information to other people. I didn't buy into that. Those are conditions that I can set, and those are expectations that humans should have when they're dealing with businesses. So it's a whole inversion of the current status quo. The industry impact, when we look back, let's say a decade from now, we look back at what we will have achieved, we will have contributed to that inversion of the relationship between individuals and businesses. And if we could impacted the industry in a small way to redress that imbalance, that asymmetry that exists at the moment, then I think that we can count as a success.
It's really, really exciting. I think about so many personal benefits there, because I'm not unlike everyone else where you're getting bombarded, fed ads. You might have looked at one thing one time, and it's something that maybe you accidentally clicked on, or someone sent you a link to check out, and now you just all of a sudden getting adverts for, I don't know, whatever it is, a cold plunge that you don't want or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And they double down on it. And they'll reinforce and they'll give you more and more. It's like, I know the YouTube algorithm as well. You go and watch something accidentally or watch it for a little bit too long. You don't know. Now you're trying to convince it that you don't like, I know, fly fishing or whatever
it is. Yeah. And I think the more aware you are of apps tracking you, websites tracking you, your cell phone, which a lot of people, I'm surprised by how many people don't realize, but the microphone on these applications have access to your microphone. So you might be talking about, I've done it with my wife so many times, we're talking about a product or something, and she'll open up her social media and then she's got adverts for it. I'm like, because you've allowed it to have access to that. It's not something that you want. You might just be talking in a group and now you're getting fed adverts for it. So you have to manually go in, ask the app not to track, remove access, remove tracking, all of that stuff. But there's obviously benefit if you have a need, right? Timely fed adverts or whatever it is. But if you're, like you're saying, your AI is working with the third party, which would be the third party now, and giving you the right information at the right time, awesome. It's going to be a lot less wasted money from the
well, look, I think what it does to the industry is it actually frees up all that money. It's a cost saving.
Yeah.
Now they don't have to hold your data in a data silo. They can actually let it go. Like the character says, just let it go. Let go the customer's data.
I'm sure there'll be pushback, though, don't you think? Like, how hard, like that? That's my. I mean, it's not what I'd want, but I just think big companies and stuff like that, that's their like gold mine. How do you see?
They think it
obviously
is.
This is an intervention.
And when you show them that actually contacting your personal AI and asking what's on your shopping list gives them a better return, they get more revenue. They'll say, oh, so we didn't actually have to build that predictive model to figure out what Greg wants to buy. Okay, well, we can remove all of his data, and they're going to find that more and more, and they're going to actually ask. They're going to prefer engaging with customers that know what they want. So
probably even from the retailer side's better, because you think about those people, they're using bidding engines to bid up for their adverts to be served to you, and how many do they have to click on? What's the
all that
conversion
waste
rate
of money? It's $1 trillion industry.
Yeah.
So the impact of personal AI will actually encourage local manufacturing. So why? It's our thesis that there's currently a massive unmet demand in most economies because manufacturing has been globalized, and we've got long logistic cycles now where when you want something, it might not be in season. It might not be available. It'll take a 16-week journey across the Pacific from the order time to manufacturing before it comes to the US and it's available in shops. So all of that unmet demand, that real-time demand, is difficult to serve when your manufacturing is way offshore on the other side of the world. So that local real-time demand gets fed by local operators, by local vendors that are probably smaller vendors that can react in real time, that have access to that, what we call intent casting, that signal of buyer's intent, and they can serve that really quickly. I mean, we can only look at how some industries have been transformed like that already. Transportation, transformed by Uber, where Uber, the marketing action happens is demand side action. It's the Uber doesn't advertise to me, hey, we've got drivers going off to LAX. No, I pick up my phone and say, I need to get to the airport in, my flight's in 2 hours. I need to get to the airport. And so it's a demand side action rather than a supply side action. And so the thesis is that personal AI will actually encourage and foster more local manufacturing, and it'll serve an unmet need. And so it's new economy. It'll actually grow the economy in that way, and in a healthier way. So looking back, I hope that will, if we look from a decade in the future and we look back, we hope to have contributed to that transformation.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we can all see the benefit to that for sure. Well, look, I know we're close on time. Before we wrap, I wanted to see if you can share a bit of advice with our audience, with aspiring entrepreneurs, leaders in the space. You've obviously had a very successful career, exits you've been involved with, C-level positions, helping transition or get into AI, everything like that, and now with a nonprofit. What advice would you give to people that are looking to either have an impact in an industry like this or start a company in this industry currently?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I get asked a lot, and it's not that I just find myself very fortunate to have been in the right place at the right time. I don't think it's any anything more than that. There might be some predisposition, but I know a lot of people that are smarter than me that were just born at the wrong time, or in the wrong cycle of an industry, and so on. So I will. An old boss said, if you want to be smart, or do you want to be lucky? He says you should aim to be lucky. And that's I've been lucky. I don't think it's innate smart. So imparting wisdom and telling someone to be at the right place at the right time is not very useful. Okay, because currently is not the right time. Currently, AI has done a number on the tech industry. There's a load of smart people that are in between jobs. So what I'm telling them is, don't be unemployed. Come and do a tour of duty at Kwaai. You'll network there. You'll meet a lot of smart critical thinkers in the AI space. And even if you don't have any AI smarts, come and acquire your AI smarts here. You'll come away smarter than when you joined. So we're welcoming everybody and anybody. We'll find a place for you to be productive, so you can be harnessed to this same mission of democratizing AI, of building personal AI for the masses. If you want to start a business, look to yourself first. Think about what are your values. What is it that is valuable to you? And so that is a lot of belly button searching and exploring your own values, because you've got to make sure that what you do is aligned to your values. Don't just say, I want to make money. the money should be the secondary, the result of doing something that is aligned to your values. So your values come first, and you'll find the money will follow. I guess it has for me, and maybe searching for money is not the end goal. Maybe you want to make it. You just want to make a difference. You want to make an impact. You want to build something that's culturally significant, and that's what's been important to me. Find smart people. Find ways of communing with smart people, because it's going to make you smarter. Have lots of conversations. Explore language. Master language, and I think it's done well for humanity. And I think we need to do more of that. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that is great advice, and I think you're too humble. There's definitely smart, hard work, and people behind you that have backed you and brought you in, that have helped you create your success. So now you're onto this, which is going to be hugely impactful, and I think everyone listening today can see the value in Kwaai. So it's obviously been a pleasure having you on the show today. Really appreciate you sharing all of this, and I'm looking forward to keeping in touch and also keeping aware of what you guys are doing. We mentioned the website before, but can you repeat it, and then
Sure.
tell us where people can find you and sign up and do a tour of duty with Kwaai?
So Kwaai is spelled Kwaai, and the domain is kwaai.ai. Do a number of things. One is sign up. It's free. Okay. You can sign up as an observer, and that's really nothing more than you're going to get. You can get access to the software when it's ready. The GitHub repos are open. You can go and find the GitHub repos if you want to contribute to the code. If you want to clone it all day long. We don't care. It's free open source software. Okay. Nice. If you're a college and you want to bring cutting edge AI to the site, to your campus, then go to the site and go to the beta page. There's an application form there. Find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on the site. There's a contact button. There's a donate button. Gosh, there's a sign up button. If you just want to play with the software, it's available. In any browser, you can play with it. We hold a series of hackathons. If you want to participate in development, that's also great. And we'd like you to join. When you join, you get the choice of joining as an observer. If you want to contribute more than that, if you want to be a volunteer, we'd like you to commit 8 hours a month. So that's not a lot. No. That's attending our weekly public meeting. That's 4 hours. It's an hour each week. And maybe contributing another hour or so in a work group. There are lots of work groups going on. If you are a domain expert and you can bring that expertise, then sign up as an observer. If you want to do more, maybe we're going to be holding board elections. You want to participate at the board level. That's great. And the movement's growing. So we launched the European chapter, the EMEA chapter. That's Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And maybe next year we're going to open up the Asia Pacific chapter, and then we're going to be truly a global organization. However you want to participate, we'd welcome you to the movement.
Perfect. Thank you. And like I said, we'll put all the links in the show notes. And yeah, hopefully we'll have you on again in the future to see how this has grown and what impact you guys have had. And once the beta's out there, and see how the university program's gone as well.
Fantastic. We've got a weekly public meeting. It's Fridays, 10 o'clock Pacific. Go find the link on the Kwaai website. We'd love to see you there.
Thanks again, Reza. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Greg. Okay.